We are White Wives, and, well, we're members of White Wives. My name's Roger.
I'm Chris.
Another city for a new weekend, another room filled with amplified kids, and I've been planning to start practicing for my heart and for my head and for my friends. So I've been building up this practice house, for practice words into my practice mouth.
White Wives is musicians that have been playing music for a while. The other Chris and I, we played a band called Anti-Flag, and that band's still very active, and we've been in that band now for 12, maybe 15 years. And you know, for me, White Wives began with meeting Roger and hearing his songs and wanting to experiment and push myself a little bit further. And you know, kind of when we started the band, the thing was just like kind of have fun and write some music together, and then it ended up working very well, and we started to take it quite serious, and that's why we find ourselves here today.
And we're very old friends, like you said, that have been making music for a long time, but separately, but also coexisting. And we've been traveling together on and off for a long time. So when I started writing solo songs and meeting Chris and we made a record together, it just was kind of a very organic process, but it kind of unexpected that we'd actually have time in our lives to do this.
Yeah, White Wives took our band name from a Dutch anarchist group called the Provos, who were rabble-rousers in the 60s, and they used a lot of different tactics in disseminating their information. They used humor. They would set up these outrageous, I guess you'd call them performance art pieces in the city center, and kind of the cops would all go to shut that down, and they
would include the police into the...
Yeah, and they had a series of plans, and one of their plans was the White Wives plan, where they gave contraceptives and birth control information to young girls whenever it was really frowned upon in Holland. And
sex was very taboo then.
Yeah. And so I think that, you know, that was just something that we thought was really cool, that these guys were kind of pranksters, but at the same time we're doing it with, you know, an ideal.
And we wrote Hungry Ghost kind of initially with the idea of kind of focusing on the art that has really affected our lives, and we've really been attached to and felt a lot for, and kind of the importance of the artistic community and the importance of art affecting and staying behind, and, you know, working its way into people's souls. And
yeah, just like the you know, the cycle of, does art dictate to society, or does society dictate to art, you know? When Roger and I started working together on one of his solo records called The Grand Scheme of Things, he sent me like 40 songs, 30 to 50 songs, it was somewhere in there, and like,
I had a lot on my mind.
Yeah, they just kept coming, like emails just kept coming with songs, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And I did my due diligence, and I listened to every one, and every single one of them had something special to me. And you know, it was, for me, it was like the recognizing, you know, my friend's talent and wanting to see if it could work with the things that I've been able to write over, you know. And you know, I kind of feel like I've pulled him a little bit into our spectrum as he's, traded an acoustic guitar for an electric guitar, and then he's pulled me into his perspective where, I'm now looking at the politics of my life with a different light. I think that the inspiration behind the band and some of the things that we're talking about are exactly why we started the band. We are kids that went to punk rock shows our entire lives. We are kids that, believe that the world should be treated fairly and everyone should be treated equally. And, those ideals are forever ingrained in us. But now we're just kind of looking at a new avenue to creatively share those ideas.
Right. And, I mean, obviously, Chris is a great friend of mine. And for him to have shown such an interest in the things that I do, someone that I respect so much, that was very cool. This has been a very cool thing that we got to do.
Yeah, we just released a record on June 28th. It's called Happeners. It came out on Adeline Records. And, for us, it's just like 6 months of us writing songs in a very hot room and using every friend that we could to try to find the best way to capture them. We ended up going to Nashville with a friend of ours who lived in Pittsburgh, who now records at a studio like right on Music Row, like hoity-toity, awesome Nashville studio, and he snuck us in the middle of the night, and we got to record with him, and it's been a long process, about a year and a half of us working out these songs to get them released. But,
at the same time, we have extremely busy schedules, so coming into this, there was the question of like, we're going to spend this amount of time writing the record. Obviously, we're not going to go into the studio and record anything that wasn't going to feel organic. But it all came together so naturally, and he had a couple songs, I had a couple songs, and we kind of like started searching for the sound that we wanted. And I think we were all pretty surprised by the end of the studio session.
Third song we did is called Spinning Wheels, and I think that's actually the most, it's probably the best example of us marrying politics with personal ideas. And like having a song where 90% of it you feel like, oh, this is a love song about someone, and then in the bridge we kind of take this turn where it's like just for the past 10 years we've been a country at war, and how that's so far in the back of our psyche, but constantly we're reminded of it as we walk down the street, or as we interact with our families at the dinner table, or we even watch the evening news. Like so much, it's now been so much a part of our lives that it's almost like accepted knowledge that the idea of war is subtle, and it's funny that I totally forgot we played that song, but it's probably the best example of us writing a song, and then in the last 10 seconds of it, we take it somewhere else.
Yeah, in this life you're always losing. You're losing just as much as you're finding, constantly, and it's important to keep your eyes open.
We actually were talking about this today. We were talking to somebody, and I think that they kind of, without knowing it, they kind of summed up to us what we want people to take away from the record. We want every time someone listens to the record, them to find something new, and whether it's sonically, whether it's like a good stupid guitar effects pedal that I only turn on for 10 seconds at one section, or it's an idea change, or it's doing research on what maybe feels like a nonsense lyric about the provo movement, but turns out to be something that someone may have never knew about. I think that, and what the person said to us was like, I'm 5 listens into your record, and I'm starting to find new themes and new things that you've written about, and like that to us is precisely what we want to have happen.
I think selfishly, I want people to listen to our record and know how much we care, or come to a show and see how much we care about this and about a lifestyle like we're leading and writing songs like we're writing. And I think selflessly I want people to, you know, feel the things that we were feeling when we wrote the songs.
We did Sky Started Crying, and Sky Started Crying, you know, was, you know, penned by Roger, but I feel like has this ability to play upon anyone who has maybe lost someone that they love, you know, and you know, that idea of whether it's in a physical sense, like you know, someone you love has died or passed away, or whether it's in the emotional sense that someone's just not with you anymore, like you can kind of connect with that. But I still think that, like, we, you know, in there we talk about like finding out this news through social media and things like that, and it's like how much has kind of changed in the way we're alerted to what's happening in our lives,
and an emphasis on the moments that we share together, you know, and the things that you lose and the capacity of which they are truly lost. And kind of going back into Hungry Ghost, like this idea that as we live and as we create and as we, you know, communicate with other people, as we exist, we, even when things are lost, there's a lot that's left behind, you know. And I think I find a lot of solace in the idea that, like, things can be lost and things can change very drastically, but there's some things that can't be taken away from you. I'm Roger.
I'm Chris too. We are White Wives. Check out our session on Baeblemusic.com. Peace.